Hello, get that kettle on, get that brewing, because you're listening to the Star Wars Brew Crew. I'm with my co-host, Scarlett Burgess, and I'm Thomas Prentice. Welcome to our second episode. The first topic is going to be the news.
The news that came out. So, D23 happened, I think.
It's a few weeks back now, isn't it?
It's a few weeks back now, but we had to talk about the news that was announced there. So first, Skeleton Crew. We got some first images before D23, but then at D23, we got a trailer released, and it looks pretty good, I think.
With Jude Law up there.
It's
doing his stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what stuff he's doing yet, but we will find out.
Have we got a name for him yet? His character?
Jod.
Jod
Nowwood.
Nowwood?
I think... I don't know how it's...
Nowwood.
I don't know how it's pronounced.
Jod Nowwood.
N-A space...
Is that a middle name hyphenated?
No hyphens according to the article I read. They just said N-A space N-A-W-O-O-D.
Wow.
It's quite a mouthful. I don't know why they had to na-na it like Batman style, but...
No. Jude Law.
Oh. So, the kids are called Fern, Wim, I think, KB, and Neil. I personally am very excited to see Neil. He just sounds like he's down at the pub talking about his friend Jod down at the building site. And
you're right, Neil. Yeah, not too bad.
But a really high-pitched voice. He said, yeah, I'm not too bad.
They're all kids, aren't they? So he'd be like pretending to be at the pub.
Yeah.
He'd be like 17 years old with a really bad mustache.
It's all of them in a trench coat, trying to get a pint, complaining about the kids, but it's just Jude Law behind them.
What's your most alcoholic beer?
Yes. A Stellar, please.
Stellar, please.
So the Lego set for their ship, the Onyx Cinder, I think it's pronounced. It's a weird
Sounds like
name.
a Pokemon.
Yes, the Onyx Cinder. I think I said cylinder, but it's not that. So there's a little bit of information in the Lego description, actually. I mean, we saw this in Smith's the other day.
Yes, we
did. So it's out to the public, but the description says, it's got a kitchen. It's got a little grabber. It's got
grabber.
Yeah.
What's a grabber?
Grab stuff.
Like a crane on it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's a grabber?
They're grabbing. Apparently, the kids have like buildable torches in the set, which are all multicolored. So I don't know how these.
Lego is, of course, it's buildable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just torches that they use to adventure around, or if they actually factor into the plot. But it seems it will focus on the pirates. A lot of people want to see.
It's the pirates from Mando, isn't it?
Yeah.
I swear.
I mean,
in the teaser trailer, I swear I remember seeing.
I'm not sure.
One of the pirates from Mando season 3.
People want to see the pirate from Clone Wars. Hondo, yeah.
He's also in Rebels.
And Rebels, but he doesn't look as dapper in Rebels. The
animation wasn't there.
Yeah. He wasn't feeling it that day. He phoned in the performance. But yeah, so it looks quite promising. I think it looks like they're living just a normal life in Star Wars, but then they get lost on their Lego ship. And then Jod turns up for some reason, confuses everyone with the surname, and then goes away again. So I honestly don't know what to expect. I feel like it might have some Goonies vibes. It looks kind of spooky because I saw a skeleton in the trailer. So
that'll be good.
So I know they're aiming towards a family-friendly type.
Well, it's coming out December, Christmas time, isn't it?
I think so.
Which will be good. I remember, this is not Star Wars, this is Marvel, but when the Hawkeye show came out,
that was Christmas.
That was around Christmas time, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was very Christmassy, very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they can replicate that, but it's something different for Star Wars as a family sit-down show. I mean, you've got the Ewok films, which are family sit-down, but I don't know if are they canon?
I think in everyone's hearts, but I honestly don't know. Next this was announced at D23, but on Manny Jacinto's birthday, that the Acolyte has been cancelled after season 1 due to supposedly low viewership.
Who is Manny Jacinto? Just for the viewers to know.
The lovely actor who plays the Stranger / Chimera in the Acolyte.
Yep. What a birthday present.
What a birthday present. And he just posted a picture of the final scene of him in the show with a little heart. So I thought, oh, lovely present for him.
I mean, I know it got low viewership, but I think it was the viewership against the budget.
Yeah.
Because the viewership was actually, I think, a little bit more than Andor, I think I've seen. But the budget was like 5 times.
Yeah, it was like
it's stupid.
180 million. I think if they just lowered the budget, I think, because they can do it with a lower budget. It's really annoying.
It's the issue of Disney. They keep just throwing money at these TV shows, and TV shows don't work off throwing money the same way films can do.
If you threw the money at maybe the writers and the people behind the scenes, I feel like you would have a lot better products. But personally, I'm very upset at the news. I was very excited for The Acolyte because I thought it was a very fresh perspective. I thought a dark side focus show would be really good, and it definitely would have needed time to grow, but in the long run it would have been incredible. And it's just thinking about all the shows that are so successful now that would have been cancelled at season 1 because of the same reasons, into what we had today, like Breaking Bad, Friends, The Office.
A lot of them did bad in season 1
Exactly.
and then picked up.
And then picked up later.
But Clone Wars season 1, people weren't too keen on it, were they?
Clone Wars movie, people weren't too keen on.
No. And now it's something that everybody loves.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite parts of Star Wars.
I think with the streaming, it's very cutthroat.
Disney Plus itself, I think, is part of the problem.
Netflix as well, they all do it. They're very cutthroat.
I mean, Lockwood and Co.
That's ventured far from
Through
Star
the
Wars.
heart, through the stake through the heart. Should we move on?
Is that all the news, or
No, to the next part of the news.
there's more
a lot.
news?
So Mando and Grogu movie coming out 2026.
Seen some little sneak peeks of shots because people at the San Diego Comic-Con, was it San Diego?
It was D23.
Or D23 got to watch like a trailer of some kind.
Yeah.
And people have posted pictures of it like they always do.
Yes, and Zeb making an appearance in the cockpit. I thought that was edited, but I got multiple perspectives of the screen.
Yeah.
It's like they can't have got on that quickly. So Zeb definitely in the new movie.
Well, he did make an appearance, didn't he? And was it Mando?
I can't remember which one it was.
Ahsoka?
I think it was Book of Boba Fett.
But he's a fighter pilot, isn't he?
Yeah,
Which
of
is
course
weird
he's going to
'cause
be in.
He's more of a soldier, I think, than a fighter pilot.
He's more of a will they, won't they
grunty.
to Callus as well.
Oh,
Is Callus at home
comes back.
tending to the loth cats, waiting for
Zeb to come home.
Zeb to come home. To join up with the movie coming out, there's going to be a Mando and Grogu update to Smuggler's Run at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, a new segment to that, which is interesting because they updated Star Tours with the Mando and Grogu
What's their
Andor
most
and Ahsoka.
profitable thing at the moment is the Mandalorian
Mandalorian
and Grogu.
You can't go anywhere without seeing Grogu on Star Wars merch.
Yeah, I know.
Or Baby Yoda, according to middle-aged mums.
That's the one thing Star Wars hasn't lost since being bought by Disney is still the ruthless merchandise.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Same way George Lucas just like made so many toys, just absolutely pumped it out. Everything was Star Wars branded, could be Star Wars branded.
Even
and
in
now
dead
Disney's
stock,
doing it still.
even in dead stock stores, there is always going to be Grogu there. Charity shops, there is always a Grogu.
Yeah, even
He's
in
everywhere.
charity shops. Oh my god.
He's absolutely everywhere. If he dares grow up at any point,
People are going to
Disney's
think
coming for him.
people are going to think he's some sort of like a deity in the future. They're going to unbury all
my
this Grogu
God.
stuff. They're going to be like, who was this guy?
Oh, I remember in
This
a
creature.
movie at some point there was a it was like futuristic. I think it was Mortal Engines, but I'm not sure. And there was a statue of the Minions, and they were like, oh, they must have been ancient deities. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Grogu.
Honestly.
I can't remember what movie it was. I think I watched about 10 minutes and I saw that and I was like, oh my God.
If it is
okay.
Mortal Engines, I think that's the one where I got a half an hour sneak peek of at Comic-Con once.
Wow.
And I
lucky
walked
you.
out of it and went, that is terrible. I'm not going to go watch that. And it came out and flopped.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I got a
remember-
sneak peek.
I remember I bought
before
the
it came
first
out.
book because this movie was coming out because I thought, why not? Because it was on sale and I couldn't even finish the book. So yeah, sorry, Mortal Engines. This isn't meant to bash you. And second to last piece of news, Krennic and K2SO returning in Andor Season 2, which reportedly will end a few minutes before Rogue One.
I'm excited for this because it's good for a show to end when it needs to end.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to end it in a way where it lines up with Rogue One. It actually has an ending where some shows where they just get cancelled out of nowhere, like The Acolyte.
Oof.
You're just kind of left feeling like it wasn't finished. And for people that did like it, they're just kind of left there like, oh.
Also, I think they definitely had a plan with Season 1. And honestly, season 1 of Andor is the best Star Wars show on Disney Plus. Just objectively, I think the writing and the
I'm still a big fan of The Mandalorian.
we do really like the Mandalorian, but I think on its own, I think Andor it will forever be known as another one of those Star Wars shows. But I think in general, it
was good.
Because I was a bit mixed in the first. I think the second story arc I didn't really like, the one with the heist. But once they actually did the heist, I was hooked. But I remember it was the end of episode 3. It was the big escape. I started crying, and I didn't know why. And I think I also started crying when the guy says, I can't swim. And after that was... I just think it was ingenious. And I cannot wait for Andor season 2 because I think it's the same team. And for it to end a few minutes before Rogue One, I think Diego Luna says you have to have enough time to watch Rogue One afterwards because it factors in.
And then you have to watch A New Hope.
And then you have to watch Empire Strikes Back. And then you have to watch
Not quite that far, but yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. I feel like it will put Rogue One in an entirely new light afterwards.
You're expanding the characters you saw for a whole movie. And that's what Star Wars does. I mean, Darth Vader... You got the whole 3 films explaining who he was before he was Darth Vader, and that's the magic of Star Wars.
And then he got whole 3 films before that explaining who he is while he was Darth Vader. And lastly, we've got Rebuild the Galaxy coming out September 13th. Darth Jar Jar, Jedi Vader.
Lego Star Wars.
Dark Millennium Falcon, Sith Rey. We got Jedi Bob.
It has the same magic as previous Lego Star Wars, and it isn't just kind of milking it. Because like they're going full out, Sith Rey, Jedi Bob. They're throwing the guns. Yeah, they're throwing all the memes, and I'm scared that the memes are not going to be there.
I feel like they might have revealed everything funny in the trailers to get people to watch it, and then other than that, it's like, oh.
It's just like, here's Jedi Bob. Oh, look, he's fighting Sith Rey. Ha ha.
Oh, he's dead.
I don't know if he died that quickly. But...
I don't know. You might just be like a cameo.
But I don't know whether it's just like, yeah, look at all this weird stuff in this multiverse, haha. I hope there's somewhat of a weird plot.
Now buy this £150 Lego set. Please. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope it's like... What was the one that we watched the other day where there was the joke where it was like R2, 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 then R2 comes in? That was the funniest thing ever. What was that Lego show?
Oh, we've watched a few.
Droid Tales? Was that
Droid
it?
Tales, yeah, you got that
Lego
one. You've got the
Droid
Summer
Tales.
Vacation one. You've got... I don't think we watched the Yoda Chronicles, so it's probably Droid Tales, yeah.
But Droid Tales, if it can't beat Droid Tales and that one joke, because I loved that.
So let's get into the main part of the episode, talking about Star Wars Episode 4 or Episode 1.
Depending on when you're born or what time period you're in currently. If you're in the 70s.
I mean, maybe in the 2050s it'll be Episode 74, maybe?
Maybe.
It could be anything. But it's just its own quantum state in a way. It's both Episode 4 and Episode 1.
State?
It's in both at the same time.
Too smart for me.
But anyway, it's, A New Hope. We're talking about that this episode.
A New Hope. Or if you're old and in the 70s, Star Wars.
Star Wars what?
Star Wars.
It's just
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Came out, it was just Star Wars.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Grandpa. Get back to the home.
Okay, Boomer. All right, shall we get into our first section?
Yes.
Winners and losers.
Ooh.
Now, this has been quite hard to pick winners and losers because it is one of the greatest films ever made. It's A New Hope. How can you have winners and losers?
But you will persevere. You will try.
I've come up with some winners. I mean, I got to pick up R2-D2, that little droid. Always.
He's one of mine.
He's one of your winners as well. I mean, there's quite a few instances where he just hides in plain sight during the film. Escape pod, all right?
That specifically.
He's sitting in there. They scan. They're like no life forms. He goes, he delivers the plans to Obi-Wan like he was meant to. But again, when they're on the Death Star, Luke and Han are rescuing Leia, and Obi-Wan's off fiddling with the Death Star things, the tractor beam.
I thought you meant fiddling with the lightsaber. Because that's what he's doing.
Yeah. And they're in like the control room, C-3PO and R2-D2. They're just, keeping tabs on stuff. And then some Imperial officers come in, and then they're just like, they pretend to lock themselves in the closet.
Yeah, they went that way. They went that way, yeah.
They went that way. They just acted innocent. And they're just hiding in plain sight.
Oh, his key to hack into everything, is a lifesaver for everyone. If R2 wasn't there, Star Wars wouldn't happen.
Well, it's like most droids have a restraining bolt. And that's another thing.
Restraining order against.
Well, most of them do. And Luke does put one on R2 when they first get him in A New Hope.
Does he just take it
And
off?
then he displays the image of Leia.
Yeah.
And then Luke's like, get her back up. Come on, do it. And then he goes to Luke, but it's to C-3PO, like, oh, I can't show it again until you take off my restraining bolt. And then Luke's like, you promise you'll behave. Takes off the restraining bolt. And then he says, I'm not going to show it now. And then overnight, where does he go? He runs off to find Obi-Wan.
Iconic behavior. I personally love that, you know, when it's the droid lineup and they're like, what about this one? What about this one, Uncle? And then I like the theory that R2 just messes with the robot that's actually chosen and then blows him up. My personal one that I want to believe is that the robot was force sensitive and he sensed in the force. He sensed that something was wrong, and then he was like, I can't get chosen, it has to be this R2 unit, and then blows himself up because he senses that this isn't the way.
Well, he does live. He's a Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
I think that is quite cool. We see our force-sensitive warrior again. But yeah, R2, I just think the entire Star Wars series couldn't happen without R2.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of the main characters. He seems like a side character. He's just a little droid, just wheeling about, just unlocks doors for them. But no, he's way more than that.
It's not the Skywalker saga, it's the R2-D2 saga. And maybe C-3PO.
Well, that's what the whole premise of Droid Tales is, as we said earlier, is that he remembers everything.
It's just recounting everything, but in their perspective. But it's exactly the same, because they're the main characters.
Do we go on to some losers, or do we do another winner?
Do another winner. Can I do one of mine?
Go on.
Chewbacca.
Really?
Yes. Because Chewbacca does basically everything. He is the brains, the brawn, the muscles,
when
everything.
When does he use his muscles?
In
the film?
Just whenever. He just has to flex, and I'll be like, okay, Chewie, winner.
No, because I don't think this film is his best film. I think he's better in Episode 5.
I know, but he still deserved that medal. Again, in Droid Tales, where the medal just breaks and they shove it under the rug and Chewie doesn't get his medal.
Well, not again. I don't think he's a winner, though. I don't think he has any defining moments in it.
I think he does, because he just goes, ah. And then I just love his back and forth with Han, and I just think overall he deserves a medal.
He just deserves a medal, yes.
I just think he's a very underrated character.
That doesn't make him a winner, though.
It does.
Deserving a medal doesn't make him a winner.
It
makes him a loser who should be a winner.
I just really like Chewie.
I know you do. It's because he's a big dog.
No, that might be insulting to him. You never know.
I can't believe you picked him as a winner.
He is.
He's not a loser, but I don't think he did anything special.
He's a winner to me. He did.
See, I believe Han Solo is a winner.
Oh, of course you do. He's Han Solo.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Han Solo is such a winner to the point where when Mark Hamill got the script, he thought Han Solo was the main character. He didn't realise it was him.
I think just Harrison Ford is the main character.
And Harrison Ford.
In life.
The way he comes back and just saves Luke's ass from Darth Vader. Just by shooting him or making Darth Vader spin away so Luke can get the shot on the Death Star.
Yeah.
The way
Crazy.
he just
not
goes along
my
with it.
son-in-law.
Once they're on the Death Star, he's like, I could turn these rebels in, probably in his head, but he's like, nah, I'm going to help them fight to rescue the princess. I mean, it's for money.
Yeah, but you also fancy the princess, so.
Oh, yeah.
There's that.
So I think he's a winner, but it was quite hard to actually pick these winners and losers.
Yeah, I'm slightly biased, so it was quite easy for me.
Because you could
whatever
go
movie Chewie's in, he's going to be in my winners.
You could go with Luke Skywalker, you could go with Leia, you could go with a lot of people. And trying to single out which is the best winner in this film and this film alone.
I think there's a lot of winners. Honestly, Darth Vader could be a winner, but he's not on my list, so no.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I think he's a loser.
Oh. Well, do you want to elaborate?
Well, first thing, I know it's expanded on in Rogue One, but we see him absolutely annihilate a hallway. And then when it comes into A New Hope, the start of it, he lets all his troops deal with it, which they take longer than he will.
Mm-hmm.
And then the plans manage to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I've got to go on a wild goose chase now. And he goes around chasing them. And he can't find him until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Tarkin's the main villain in this film. Darth Vader's just like his lapdog.
How did Darth Vader get so famous? If you just kind of...
It's the next film, I think.
Empire Strikes Back.
And that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. In this film, I don't think he was that good. And then it gets to the Death Star scene with Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is just taunting him with these little lightsaber jabs. And Darth Vader's going along with it. Because he's like, I don't know what this old man's doing. He's throwing me off. Well, that's the in-law, apparently, reason why they were just like...
But at that point, we didn't... The masses didn't know the law. So just like, what's this old man doing? He's just prancing around
But
in
even
front of this...
even in law or out of law, it just makes him look a little bit stupid.
I just love the scene when the Millennium Falcon comes in to rescue. It's just his what when things start happening. He just seems quite clueless, but that's why we love him in A New Hope.
Yeah, and then he's like, I finally got you, Obi-Wan. I'm gonna kill you. And then Obi-Wan just disappears, and he's just left there like, huh? Just like, what?
Yeah. But then Obi-Wan let him have it. Obi-Wan let him do it. He was ready. He was sick of this. He was done.
He was like, I didn't get too much of a reaction by just like poking him. I'm done now.
It's like the brothers just poke him with a stick. And then Darth Vader eventually has it. He's like, I give in. He holds up his lightsaber and gets whacked.
And then also you've got the Han Solo, right, when they're doing the Death Star run, and Darth Vader comes, he shoots the other X-Wings, he's on a mad one, he's going to get Luke. And then Han Solo is a good pilot, but
I think
Darth Vader is meant to be the best pilot, he's force sensitive, and he just doesn't see it coming.
He blew up an entire ship in his childhood by accident, and yeah, he's like, what?
And then Han Solo just kind of, he like knocks him, and he's just forced to spin. I mean, there's some...
He's in Spain, but
like
without
Robot Chicken or some like parodies of it where he's just like, I've been spinning for 2 weeks. I finally stopped.
To be fair, he's not on the Death Star when it explodes, though, so, you know. Yeah. Maybe he wasn't ready. He didn't want to pilot, but he was just like, I sense I might die if I don't get in this ship
In
right
that
now.
moment, he was like, either I return to the Death Star and blow up, or I let Han Solo shoot me.
And I look really stupid, but at least I'll be alive.
But then if he got Luke, then the Death Star wouldn't have blown up.
That's true, actually. Maybe he was just like, maybe I stay on the Death Star and I blow up, or I get in this really sick-looking ship and I blow up Luke instead of the Death Star, but it doesn't work.
But then in the next film,
he probably thought it was going to be really cool.
I think
like,
Darth
"Guys,
Vader
watch this."
goes the absolute other end, because now Tarkin's gone. He's stepped up. I think Tarkin is one of the people that limits him in this film. Do you ever lose a...
Tarkin?
Tarkin?
I don't really like him. I don't think he's just too big for his boots, and they're like, maybe we should evacuate the Death Star because it's about to blow up. He's like, no, I believe in he's got that weird voice. And then they make him all CGI in Rogue One. He looks kind of uncanny, but that's not what this episode is about. It's about A New Hope, where he is alive.
I think he's terrifying.
He is. Also, he's canonically got those massive thighs, according to Clone Wars and Rebels animation. He's packing.
But why is he a loser? What has he lost at?
The rebellion. The entire Empire.
He did lose
What
the
do you
Death
mean,
Star,
what did he lose at? He died when his Death Star blew up because of the one hole in it. And they had to make Rogue One to explain the plot hole.
Well, it wasn't really his fault, was it? It was Krennic.
No, it was.
No, because he took it
But
over.
we didn't know Krennic existed at this point.
Yeah, so it was
So it was Tarkin's fault. But then they made Rogue One to ease Tarkin's failure.
Well, it was Tarkin's philosophy, you could say, was you just create loads of fear and everyone stays in line. I mean, people still will fight back even if you cause that.
Wow.
And they did fight back. And he lost his life.
Put that on his gravestone.
It was the big win for the rebellion is not just the Death Star being blown up. I think it's also Tarkin being gone.
Yeah.
Because he was also a good battle strategist.
And he did have a lot of power. So once they picked off the powerful ones one by one.
He was Pretty much. He was above Darth Vader. I mean,
Yeah.
still below the Emperor, but he was the head of the military. And I mean, Thrawn could have got to that level, but he never quite did because he then disappeared.
Yeah. Wow.
And Tarkin was in his way. If
Now he's back.
Tarkin died and Thrawn was still around, Thrawn would have then taken his role.
Yeah,
But
but
instead,
then
Darth Vader did, which also wasn't really good for the military.
yeah, but the rebels made sure Thrawn was gone. So thank you, Ezra.
Shall
It's
I go
great
with
to
my,
see you again.
Other loser?
Yeah.
The Imperial scanner. Two times the Imperial scanning tools just don't work.
Who's
One
your
for the
least favorite
droids.
character in New Hope? The Imperial scanners. Which one? All of them.
Well, they just don't work. You've got the
Well, like the droids
yeah,
or
you got the droids one.
the like
which is the
tentacly
most-
floating ones.
No, so when the escape pod goes,
Yeah.
the R2D2 C3PO on it, they escape, they get through, no life forms detected. We're not going to shoot this down. We're going to leave it.
Do they forget that droids exist?
Yeah, exactly. These scanners are terrible.
Yeah. And the people manning the scanners even worse. They don't think outside the box.
And then you get to the point where they land on the Death Star,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I want scanning crews on board. And you see the scanning crews go on board,
Mm-hmm.
but they've not turned on the scanners yet, and they get beaten up, and they take the costumes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the scanners have failed. Why can't they scan the ship from the outside? They could scan it from the escape pod from the outside
Mm-hmm.
for life forms, but not the Millennium Falcon. They had to bring a crew on board.
Mm-hmm.
What are the scanners doing? Can't they just do an exterior scan first, just to make sure it's safe?
That's what the plot demands.
I know it's what the plot demands, but
George Lucas couldn't think of how else they would be able to get on. So he just made the scanners.
just
Not
not
operational.
Great. If I had an intergalactic empire, I would not hire those scanners or buy them. The workers
Boo.
and the scanners,
Boo.
not it.
Don't like them. I've got one more winner before we move on.
One more winner, okay.
Princess Leia. Because she's just an icon. I mean, when the film even opens up, and as we see on Rogue One, that she is obviously a rebel.
CGI. Oh,
Oh, yeah, that too. But she's obviously a rebel. They know she was literally just with a rebel fleet trying to get these plans. Darth Vader comes on, asks her what's up, and she's like, I'm not a rebel. I'm on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. And then
why were these people firing back then at us? I don't know.
I don't know. And then people were wondering why Darth Vader's yelling so much at her because he's really upset. But then when you watch Rogue One, it's like it's just really annoying. Like, I just saw you firing at me from a rebel fleet. She's like, I don't know.
She's been like when a child's been caught in like drawing on the wall, and they will just defend till they die. I wasn't drawing on the wall. I don't even have a
What's
crayon.
that pen in your hand then? I don't know. My cigarette. I don't know. And then she gets imprisoned. And then when Luke comes in to rescue her, she's got that pose going, insults his height, and then fires a gun with her eyes closed to get out and goes head first through a thing.
We also have a like one-on-one with Tarkin where she starts to imitate his voice, which is by accident by Carrie Fisher. But I like to imagine it's just more mocking, and that's what led Tarkin to blowing up Alderaan, was just because she kept mocking him.
Just really annoyed. Oh, and then she just straight up lies as well. She's just an icon and well ahead of her time in terms of character, but Carrie Fisher is just amazing.
Indeed.
She embodied Leia, I think, and just the outfit, iconic, the hair, iconic, even though it's not very practical. But she was on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan, so she got
Yeah, she was.
she got to
indeed.
look her best. Yeah, that's my
Well, the
winners.
Death Star did take us to Alderaan to then blow it up.
That is true. She did get that mission, even though the diplomacy was blowing it up. That's politics for you.
That's politics.
That's politics. Well, what are you gonna do?
All right, we'll move on to our next section. Where? What
Weird.
does that sound for?
Why would I rewatch?
Why would I rewatch? Why would I sit down and rewatch A New Hope?
To make notes for this episode.
Indeed,
And
I did
then-
do that.
But then, secondly, just because
It's the start of Star Wars.
It's the start of Star Wars.
It's simple yet entertaining as well. It's not a complex story. It's princess and the underdogs rebellion fighting against a big tyrannical empire.
It just throws you into the action
And
in
it
the
just
beginning.
works.
And it does.
Yeah, there's no exposition. You're just there and you're like, yeah, go on.
The exposition.
Laser guns.
The exposition came
firing.
decades later. It's like the longest build up ever.
It's kind of
yeah.
like how life can work sometimes, where
Wow.
you're born, and it's like you see little snippets of, say, your parents' life before you were born.
Crying over the bills.
Especially like your dad's life, and then you find out at age 18 that he used to like know everyone and
Fight in the Clone Wars.
be fought in the Clone Wars, and you find out so much lore, and you're just like, what the hell's going on? And on his deathbed, suddenly the president of the United States at his like funeral and everything, you're just like, what the hell did he do?
Yeah.
It's like one of those, but for a franchise.
Yeah.
As it goes on, there's more and more lore coming out.
It was just so ahead of its time. And even at the moment, I know that there's so many films and so many TV shows to come out of it, but it's just such a different world. It's so imaginative. It's just such an
good
escape.
sci-fi.
It is very good sci-fi. It's the sci-fi.
And it's very easy to understand sci-fi. People will probably say it's not proper sci-fi because it hasn't got all like the technology stuff like Dyson spheres and blah, blah, blah. But it's simple sci-fi that anyone can follow along with.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so massive, because normal people could watch it and be like, oh, yeah, spaceships, they're cool.
And even if they didn't like the plot or whatever, there's always a character for them to get attached to just because of the range.
And the characters were brilliant.
Exactly. It was a lovely blend of plot and character that just culminated in a classic.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, I think it was characters, because you got the trio of Han, Leia, and Luke, and they all have an almost equal part in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like someone will be able to relate to at least one of them. If not, then you maybe can relate to R2-D2 or C-3PO or Chewie.
No medal. The person opposite you asking, why are you here? What did you do? Just go, because you don't know.
But I think that is just, it's the start of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big believer that if you're going to watch the Star Wars films for the first time, it's 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
Release order and just
Release order.
what you need to know when it was released. And then afterwards you can go.
Because the mentions of the Clone Wars and A New Hope and all this stuff.
It leaves you thinking, oh, what was that?
What was that?
Because that's what they were doing in the 70s.
And then your mind goes to this massive war with clones in there and all this stuff.
And that's exactly what it was. It was a massive war with clones.
And then just little stuff of like the Kessel Run. And your dad was, I thought my dad was a spice freighter pilot. And all that stuff. Spice.
Yeah.
It's a massive Star Wars drug.
And you got to watch Solo, a Star Wars story for that.
It's just so much is stemmed off this one film that it's always going to be important to watch.
Exactly.
Always. Rogue One, as good of a film as it is, and if you want to learn more about how the Death Star plans got there,
Yeah.
but it's not necessary. A New Hope is
Exactly.
necessary for the rest of Star Wars.
It's really only to explain what that one weakness was doing, and they explained it as a bug
It
in
was
the
planted
system.
there.
Yeah, planted. Which is a decent explanation, yeah, but I just like to believe that the Empire are just stupid.
I mean, when you're building something of that size, how do you avoid a flaw?
That's true.
To be fully honest.
But the explanation in Rogue One is pretty cool, I guess. I didn't really get it the first time, but now I understand.
I think it's I think Rogue One's definitely a film for older people. I don't think
Yeah.
it's necessarily a kids' film like the other Star Wars have been.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more mature.
And they keep building on Rogue One with Andor as well. So you got all this, you've got a load of building on A New Hope just because there's so much in
But
it.
none of it ruins it.
Exactly. It all does build on it instead of tear it down. It just makes it better.
There's massive respect to the film itself and what it's created.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's nothing that's really disrespected it. So,
Except maybe Rogue One having the really sick corridor fight scene, and then A New Hope, he's really bad at lightsabering for some reason.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
But it was
maybe-
the start of lightsaber fighting. They didn't know what it wanted to be.
Exactly. And Rogue One kind of fixes it. Because there are explanations as to why he's really bad in A New Hope, which I love. Even if something contradicts something else, there is always an explanation as to why.
Yeah, I like the Obi-Wan taunting him.
Yeah.
I really do, because I just find that so funny. Taunts him and disappears.
Jab, jab, jab. To be fair, all that lore that we've seen between them, you know, even him just standing there would taunt me.
That shows the magic of Star Wars, and it does start with the first film, A New Hope, having to now explain it.
Yeah, exactly.
Through these theories or these random references. And it might change in the future when we learn something else.
Exactly.
Turns out Darth Vader was sick that day. He had the flu.
Yeah. Leia was a droid all along. I don't know.
The film go that far.
Luke's a droid. Everyone's a droid.
He accidentally put the bad air tank on his suit, and that's why he wasn't fighting Obi-Wan that well.
Yeah, they're all... Maybe joints were a bit stiff. The Emperor didn't give him the WD-40 that day.
It's been a while since he's had an oil change in the service.
Yeah, no, just give him time. Just give him time. In the space of a few minutes.
Just needs a recharge.
Yeah, his battery went all the way down.
But yeah, that's why I would rewatch.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
It's simple, entertaining. It's the foundation. It just works.
Exactly.
Shall we go into our next section? Reigning the Rancor.
Woo!
Reigning the Rancor is a section of the show where we talk about where we would like Star Wars to go, or where
It's
what
already
would like to see
gone.
more of.
Yeah.
An area where we're like, expand on it more, please, because Star Wars does expand on little areas more and more. Now, this is a bit tricky because, again, it's the foundation of Star Wars. So
I don't think anyone could have predicted where it went, but...
Well, you could say, seeing how the Rebels got the Death Star plans would be cool. We've already got that.
Yep.
What happens to our heroes after? We sort of have that in episode 5. I know there's a bit of a time jump. Is it 2 years, roughly? A year and a bit?
I don't know. I think it's a little bit of time, but not loads.
But you could see that time jump. That would be nice to see.
And then you get an even bigger time jump in the sequels.
But it's hard to probably remake anything of the original characters because they're all old or dead, sadly. So you'd have to get into recasting, which they did for Solo. And again, that would be a backstory on Han Solo's character. Because we know Luke's backstory, not just because of the prequels, but
it's pretty simple.
he was a farmer, moisture farmer, just farming water. Why didn't he just wait for it to rain?
That's about it, yeah. Moisture.
But he's a moisture farmer. Trouble comes his way. His aunt and uncle die. He goes with the weird old man because he's got nothing else to do and he wants a destiny because twin sons.
To be fair, his backstory only really starts.
Leia is just leader of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Han Solo, he's just some criminal, but where did he get where he got?
Yeah. To be fair, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show did give more backstory into Leia. I think it was really cool seeing her as a child and seeing just she was this iconic this early.
Yeah, she's always rebellious, always.
I think that was a good insight into her backstory. I feel like, we're getting Andor season 2, which I think will expand upon it quite nicely. I'm excited. I know it's mostly going to expand upon Rogue One, but Rogue One is an expansion of A New Hope, and it could add context to it.
Andor, I see it as not just a prequel to Rogue One, but also like a Rebels Part 2 in a weird way, because it also shows the foundations of the rebellion and it growing. And I hope they show that as well in season 2, because that was some of my favourite parts of the show. Yeah. Was seeing Mon Mothma and that other guy, I can't remember his name, one about the antique shop. Yeah. I love those scenes. Yeah. Seeing the rebellion struggle but grow. And that's one of the things I liked in Rebels over the 4 seasons of Rebels. I think it's 4 seasons. Yeah. You see them go from just a one group, and they meet up with some more people, and then they slowly get bigger. They have interactions with Leia when she's like 14 for some reason. She was fighting the rebellion then. Mon Mothma.
Start them young.
And then at the end of Rebels, they're at Yavin 4. And it's interesting because the rebellion doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
It brews and it brews, Star Wars Brew Crew.
Yeah.
But it brews and it takes time. Groups come together.
It's why I'm excited for the time jumps in Andor Season 2 as well, because it will show different stages of the rebellion as well, ultimately a few minutes before Rogue One, which is probably the rebellion at its biggest. So I'm really excited to see. I think Star Wars is very strong when it comes to the rebellion. I think they do it very well. I think I think just because it has such good foundations, the original trilogy, it's
But that's it.
yeah.
It has very good foundations. I think a lot of the stuff in that time period just works, but also it's hard to use, as I was saying earlier, the main characters from that time period because they're old and you'd have to recast.
Yeah, either you try and CG them, which Book of Boba Fett did. It was very impressive. However, the actor...
Was it Book of Boba Fett or was it Mandalorian?
No, Luke Skywalker was in... Okay, Luke Skywalker was at the end of one of the seasons.
Oh, yeah, then he was also in
then,
Book of Boba Fett, wasn't he?
and then Grogu gets back with Mando. But the actor behind the CG of the face looks a lot like a young Mark Hamill as well. But recasting is a bit of a sensitive subject because, you know, you can't outdo the doer, but also there are stories that should and can be told. But we're very attached to the original actors, so it's just what do you do in that situation? I know they already tried it with Solo, and that actor did a brilliant job.
I think it was good, yeah.
But
some people didn't. It didn't perform that well, did it?
yeah, they were going to do more Star Wars stories. Rogue One did. It crossed 1 billion.
That did well.
It did amazingly.
And then because of The Last Jedi, I think that hurt Solo.
Yeah. And the recast and stuff like that, people didn't think it was properly Han Solo. It's a difficult topic. But
it felt like a young Han Solo. It really did.
It did. The actor did an amazing job. And the actor who played
Lando?
the young Lando, he was amazing.
Donald Glover?
Yeah, I think that's
Daniel
him.
Glover? Daniel Glover?
Daniel.
Daniel.
Is that even a name?
Daniel.
Yes, my favourite actor, Daniel. Daniel.
Is it Donald or Daniel?
I think it's Donald.
I think it's Donald, yeah. Yeah, he was brilliant.
Incredible. His costume, everything, they went for that. And I think it's one of my favourite performances, honestly. I mean, obviously you can't outdo the original Lando, but in terms of a younger version, he was so good.
I will say seeing old Lando in episode 9 was really weird because he didn't have the same flair because he's old now. I don't
The
know if anyone else felt
world-famous
that.
archer, Lando Calrissian.
And he's just like, hey guys, you gotta go to this place. See you later.
Puts his mask back down and goes out to party again. Yeah, well, I don't know. That was Rise of Skywalker. We'll get to that eventually.
Eventually. I mean, it took me how long to rewatch that recently?
We've not even finished it.
Have we not finished it
yet? We got halfway through. I think we didn't even get to the dagger scene. I think we were leading up to the dagger scene and you paused it. I can't do this anymore.
Like, I have to really be in the mood. I on the Lego Star Wars game, the Skywalker Saga, I did all the levels. I was doing all the collectibles and stuff, but I didn't touch episode 9. And I had to... It took me over a year to finally convince myself to do episode 9. There's a YouTuber, I can't remember his name is, but he did basically the same thing.
Probably took Disney a year to decide whether to make Rise of Skywalker. Like, are we really doing this? Fine.
It's not bad. It's just...
It's kind of fun.
It's not funny enough yet, though. It's not been long enough.
Oh.
I think we need to give it another couple of years, and then it'll be funny.
I think it'll be like prequel.
I'm still in the hurt phase. It's 5 stages of grief. What am I in? Do you reckon denial? How do they go? Denial, something, acceptance.
I think I'm excited for bargaining.
Bargaining.
Can't wait for that stage of bargaining.
Is that not where you're at the acolyte?
Mate, I don't know what stage. I think I'm just in grief.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
You got revenge as well.
I think that's the hidden 6th step.
I honestly don't know.
I think I'm just in depression with episode 9.
Yeah.
I think I'm nearly at the acceptance.
Yeah.
I did have anger, then bargaining. Because do you remember the rumours for episode 9 that it could be rewritten and all the sequels could be written off? It was a few years back, there were rumours about the sequel trilogy being written off and then redoing it with George Lucas coming back and all this. Which is probably just junk. It wasn't real.
No.
But I was like, oh, please, please, please.
Manifesting it to the Star Wars gods.
And now, yeah, I'm in the depression stage.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting hearing about what could have been.
It's always would have, could have, should have. From a say line from Max Verstappen. If my mom had ball, no. If my dad had ball, no. What was it? If my mom had ball, she'd be my dad. That's Max Verstappen.
There's many takes on that. I personally prefer the if me aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, but she doesn't, so she's not. Do you get what I mean? Do you see what I mean? I'm being serious. Why did we get onto that? Why do we talk about that? Do we just want an excuse to say that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
One area I would like to see expanded is the effect of the Death Star exploding on the Empire. Because there's a few funny skits from TV shows out there where it's like, oh no, that's not even paid off
Oh
yet.
no.
We're now in loads of debt. I think that was
There's
Robot
construction
Chicken.
poles everywhere.
And it's just like, oh god, all these pensions we have to pay out now.
Speaking of explosions, I really want to see the effects of a whole planet exploding. Alderaan.
Yeah, we've
I
seen
feel like-
snippets of it.
I know, but I feel like there hasn't been anything mainstream because we saw Leia's grief, and in Obi-Wan Kenobi we saw on the planet, we saw peaks of Alderaan, but we've not really built a massive connection.
You have
to
is it the person from Mandalorian who's like got the big minigun, and she's no longer in it because she says some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, sweet or whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to talk
Wasn't
about
she from Alderaan?
Yeah, I think so. But again, it doesn't really. It's the this Mando show. It doesn't really focus on her. I mean, obviously it doesn't anymore. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see some more of that. But then even the planet that was exploded in the sequel trilogy, nothing about that. Hosnium Prime, was it?
The
Yeah.
capital of the new.
Yeah, heard absolutely nothing about that. No grief. I think because no character. I think Alderaan worked really well in A New Hope because Leia was from there and you could see the grief of her home planet being destroyed. Hosnium Prime, no one. No, not
So
really
anyone
anyone.
from there.
Ray
It's
was like,
the
what?
home of the Republic. Okay.
Yes, a whole republic that we have not seen anyone be affiliated with or mentioned with. Or
Trying to think what planet could it have worked on.
I mean, people thought it was Coruscant, but it's not. It's just
Yeah, I thought it was Coruscant.
yeah.
That's
And then
when
we
I was
searched
like,
it up and
oh
we were
no.
like, what's a Hosnium Prim? I don't know. I
They
don't know what
wanted
that
it
is.
to be Coruscant, and someone said,
Yeah.
actually, maybe not.
Maybe, yeah, we don't want to blow up one
I
of the
thought-
biggest money makers.
Coruscant goes after though. That's where it goes into disrepair around
Yeah.
that time, because
Yeah.
the Republic leaves and the Empire leaves, and it just fades away.
Fend for yourself type thing. So yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I just
I want to see the effect of the Death Star and the planet exploding on the Empire and people.
yeah.
I think like a little Empire, not like The Office, because I don't want it to be a comedy, but like a little Empire show would be nice. Of them just like going through their day, hunting rebels.
Well, that's kind of what Andor is, to be honest.
Well, yeah, it is.
Which is what I really like about it, because you find yourself rooting for this character who keeps getting proven wrong, and you want them to succeed, but then you realize this is the Empire. Actually, we don't want them to succeed. So I think they get that balance really well.
Yeah, but we can't have an Andor season 3 after
No, yeah, that's
A
true.
New Hope.
We gotta-
because something happens. I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure. Oh, his contract runs out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also Andor dies. Unless it's just him as a ghost being like, guys, no, but no one can
There
hear
could
him.
be a character in there that carries it on somewhat.
He's got a
maybe.
random son somewhere.
I don't think so.
I don't know. He kind of gets with people in the Andor show, doesn't he? He wakes up someone's bed.
Yeah, no, he does. What's that ISB agent lady? I can't remember her name.
Can't remember.
I think, is it ISB or is it
I don't know.
white uniform?
Empire. Mrs. Empire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could follow her around,
Yeah.
having to like deal with the Death Star.
I think at that point it's no longer Andor. It's just.
No, but it's a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off, isn't it?
I think that's what everything is.
Well, Rogue One is the
I
spin-off
can't handle it
of A New
anymore.
Hope. Andor is the spin-off of Rogue One.
But that actually works.
And now we need a spin-off on Andor. We need to keep it going.
It's just door.
I'm looking for 50 spin-offs by 2050.
Yeah, that's the goal. Everyone
If not,
band together.
I'm leaving. I'm gonna go to Mars with Elon Musk,
Yeah.
and I'm never gonna go on the internet ever again.
We got the Mandalorian spin-off Mando and Grogu, then it's just going to be Grogu, then it's just going to be Grow, then it's just going to be Goo, and it's just him throwing up every 2 seconds.
Well, the thing is, Grogu's gonna live for 900 odd years.
Exactly, there's a lot of
So
material
it's gonna go
there.
from Mandalorian and Grogu, elderly Mandalorian and Grogu,
Dead Mandalorian,
Dead Mandalorian
alive
Grogu.
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 Grogu takes on
number
the
10.
puberty. Finally. Grogu can speak, but he speaks normally like Yadril, so Yoda's just weird.
You've got Rey's like great grandchild, and Grogu's like 21.
No, to be fair, do you think Grogu will be part of Rey's New Order?
Yeah.
I feel like they might do that. To be
I
honest.
don't know. Well,
They
he's
might.
Mandalorian though. That's the thing about Grogu. He chose the Mandalorian way. He's not a Jedi.
That's true, but he still can be like, boop, boop, make stuff float.
He still had some training, yes.
Yeah, he's had a bit of training. And then once Mando is dead, how else is he going to make money? He can't just sit and do nothing. That won't make money. That's not TV show
Well, Mando
worthy.
does own that bit of land on that planet.
He owns a
Can't
few
remember.
acres. It's just Grogu doing backflips. He's like, wow, that was 10 acres that time. Then we get a few more.
Well, he's like friends with Babu Frick and everything. Maybe he can get
yeah,
a job
true.
repairing droids or...
Yeah, a little mechanic show. That might be fun. It's just them complaining about the way the world wages.
I mean, like, if he invests in a company while he's young, he's got 900 years for that to just increase and hit the moon.
Grogu takes on investment.
Grogu
Investing.
takes on the stock market.
Grogu invents cryptocurrency. It's just him getting arrested. I feel like Grogu might get arrested at some point. He's got that arrestedness.
I hope he becomes less of a baby, though. Because
You mean Baby Yoda no longer a baby?
No, 'cause he's-
How will Disney make money?
he's, what, Yoda lived to 900, and you could assume he was,
Got the calculator out.
what,
Calculating his age.
let's say he was 75 at least. 12 years of their life is 1 year. And apparently he's, what, Grogu's 50?
I honestly can't remember.
Yeah, it depends how old you reckon Yoda was when he died. I don't know.
He was like 900.
Yeah, but how old relative to us? But they could age
Oh.
differently, couldn't they?
Yeah.
They could be baby until 300 and suddenly they're a full-grown adult.
Yeah. I mean, it might be like Ralph Macchio. He just doesn't look. And he just doesn't look his age at all. They're like, how old are you, Grogu? 700. But why do you have a baby chair still? Why do you
think
have a
it's
training
The
seat?
baby noises. I want to hear him speak. But how will he speak?
It's the
Will it be out of
royalty-free
order?
baby noises as well. Like I heard those baby noises on my first baby DS game when I was younger. I hear it. I'm like, oh, that reminds.
It's
It's
when
just-
they.
Can you not afford to get a new baby?
It's when they throw.
There's plenty of kids in the.
They must have like a teddy or something of him. And when Grogu does a force jump, they just throw the teddy.
Sling. They buy their own baby Grogu merch and then just lob it. They go into Build-A-Bear, be like, one Grogu, please.
It
It's
happens
Dave
in
Filoni in
Mandalorian
his hat. They're
season
like,
3.
I recognise you. It's like,
That's-
no.
I think I was watching one of my friends.
Why were
And
you?
we saw that scene of just like he's doing a force jump, but it's just thrown. And we're just like, what?
It's out of one of those like dog tennis ball throwers. They've attached it with sticky tape and lobbed it. They accidentally left the stick on, but it's fine. They'll fix it in post.
It's like
P.S.
there's
They did not.
It's films where you can tell they're using miniatures or something weird, like the I think it's the Ferrari film with Kylo Ren actually,
Oh.
Adam Driver. The crash scenes in that, it looks like someone's got a toy and they've just thrown it. It's just not
Cheap
great.
way to do it though. I mean, that's how the original Star Wars was done. It's
Yeah,
just
but
toys.
it's done really well, and that's
Yeah.
why
It's because the camera was fuzzy.
for gift wrap, this is
Are we moving on to gift wrap?
gift wrap is just the space scenes, the spaceships. It was just amazing.
Gift wrap is where it's what we.
We wrap up
Yeah.
with something that Star Wars has given to us as a gift, and I mean, A New Hope gave us Star Wars.
Yes, thank
but
you.
It was also the space scenes.
mean, the
Using the miniatures, all the technologies that they used are just. It was very convincing. Even watching it now, you don't realize
Hmm.
how it's not fake. Well, it is fake, but it looks realistic.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the
just
word I'm
the
looking for.
opening. The opening crawl goes, and then you're like, oh, when's the movie going to start? And then a spaceship comes in from the corner of the screen. That must have been insane to watch
the
it for
time,
the first
definitely.
time at the time. You're like, wow, cameraman must have
And
really
it still
struggled in
lives up.
space.
But then you look at CGI from, say, the original Iron Man, and it's not bad. There's some parts where it's like, yeah, that suit's not real.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking at these spaceships, I'm seeing all the tiny
Yeah.
details, and I'm just like, yeah, it's real.
Must have been what I felt when I first saw Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. I was just like, yeah, that's a real octopus, man. Wow.
Yeah,
Didn't know
it just-
those existed.
They
I
just
just-
used paintings and miniatures and all this stuff, and it was just it opened so much with space. And I like the story where George Lucas, he always wanted to do a big space battle,
Yeah.
and he was just waiting for the technology to do it. He tried to do it in Episode 6 with the second Death Star,
Yeah.
and it was all miniatures, and he wasn't too happy with it. Tried it again in the first film, as in episode
Phantom
1,
Menace,
Phantom
yeah.
Menace, and again he wasn't happy. And it wasn't until episode 3, the opening shot of Anakin and Obi-Wan flying, and then they do like a roll thing over the Venator, and then it's just ships everywhere.
Yeah.
That's when I think the technology got to the point where he could do that, and I think he
Yeah.
loved it.
I mean, it was cutting it a bit close. It's his last film.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, thank God for that.
Well, I think that's why he waited until 1999 to do Phantom Menace. Because he wanted technology to get good enough to the point where he didn't have to do the miniatures. It needs to be better than the miniatures.
Yeah, for about 20 years, he was just shaking his chair like, money, Star Wars. I need to do something,
Well,
but
he
I
had all
gotta
the
wait.
merchandise, didn't he?
He had cobwebs on him, and then he went into the studio like, right, let's make some money.
I think the space scenes are something that it's given us, and it's brilliant. I love it, and also it's given us Star Wars. It is a brilliant film.
I think it was just so inspiring for other film studios as well. I don't think film would be the way it is without Star
Or
Wars.
is it Industrial Light and Magic?
ILM. They've become ILM. They are insane in terms of effects. They pop up everywhere in loads of films. They don't just do
now
Star Wars.
they
obviously,
don't, but
they're
that's
one of
where
the
they started.
They're one of the front runners in special effects, and because they were one of the first as well to do what they were doing.
That technology is brilliant, and it would be it's that film that started it all.
Exactly.
Anyway, anything else to say before we close this off?
I just really like Star Wars. I really like A New Hope. And
Yeah, it's good.
Chewie did deserve that medal.
Yes, he did.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you for listening. This is the end of Star Wars Brew Crew. Not the end forever, but this is the
Goodbye,
end of the
everyone.
episode. Hope you've enjoyed, and hopefully it won't be too long to the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.